Wagangzhai, from obscurity to power and its inevitable fall in the closing chapter of the Sui Dynasty, the world-renowned Wagangzhai, initially nothing more than a small bandit group, rose to become a dominant force in the struggle for the Central Plains. So, how did this unremarkable bandit nest transform into the most powerful entity in the world at the end of the Sui Dynasty? Let's dive into the story of Wagangzhai's meteoric rise and inevitable fall. Back in the late Sui Dynasty, in the prison of Dongjun, a death row inmate named Jai Rang sat in his cell, silently awaiting his execution. Just as all hope seemed lost, the prison door burst open and a jailer rushed in, saying, "Brother Jai, run." Jai Rang was stunned. "Who are you?" he asked. The jailer replied, "You don't know me, but I know you. I've heard you're a legendary hero. In this world, Emperor Yang of Sui is decadent and the land is teeming with rebels. A man of your talents shouldn't perish in this wretched prison. You should go out and save the people." Jai Rang was moved to tears and said, "Brother, if I escape, what will become of you?" The jailer said, "I see that you're a man of character. Don't cry, don't hesitate. If you don't run now, it'll be too late." Jai Rang fled the city and took to the eastern mountains, where he became a bandit. The camp he settled in was the infamous Wagangzhai. At that time, the Sui Empire was on its knees due to Emperor Yang's extravagance. The emperor waged endless wars, dug thousands of miles of canals, and built magnificent palaces that drained the nation's wealth. The Chinese people were starving and suffering. Jai Rang, being a smart man, came up with a slogan to attract more followers: "Come to Wagangzhai, and you'll have your fill of food." This powerful message drew in the starving masses, who flocked to Wagang like moths to a flame and became bandits. Under Jai Rang's leadership, the Wagang brothers robbed the rich and helped the poor, specializing in plundering merchant and official ships. Soon, the Wagang brothers not only had enough to eat but also enjoyed wine and meat. Wagangzhai became a well-regarded bandit nest in the area, with a population of 10,000. If things had continued this way, Wagangzhai would have remained just a large mercenary gang. However, the arrival of one person was about to completely rewrite Wagangzhai's future. That person was Limi, the new CEO of Wagangzhai. Let's not delve too deeply into Limi's early life. If you're interested, you can check out the previous episode. To sum up Limi's work experience, his first job was as a guard in the palace, but he was let go by Emperor Yang of Sui. His second job was to start a rebellion, but he was defeated by Emperor Yang of Sui. His third job was to work as a teacher under an assumed name, yet he was arrested by Emperor Yang of Sui. His fourth job was to take care of his family, but Emperor Yang of Sui killed all his relatives. Every setback in Limi's life was caused by Emperor Yang of Sui. Driven by hatred for Emperor Yang of Sui, Limi first sought refuge with Hao Xiaoda, a bandit leader in Shandong. Hao Xiaoda looked down on him, so Limi turned to Wang Bo, a rebel leader in Qingbai Mountain, but was also rejected. Limi's third job, hunting target, was Wagangzhai. Having learned from his previous two failed interviews, Limi made thorough preparations before his Wagangzhai interview. Prior to the interview, Limi established connections with other small rebel groups near Wagangzhai. The leaders of these small rebel groups often lacked exceptional skills and hadn't seen much of the world, making them easier to deceive. At that time, a rumor was circulating that during the famine, fleeing process, a man with the surname Li would become the next emperor. Armed with this rumor, Limi kicked off his grand deception. "I told the small rebel leaders, please note that my surname is Li, and I'm currently on the run. My name is Limi, and destiny has chosen me to be the next emperor." When the rebel leaders heard this, they thought, "Wow, is it you, Limi, who's destined for the throne?" Limi said, "We are friends, so I told you this secret. What can you rebels do here? I'll introduce you to the renowned Wagang village, and then join me in conquering the world." With this set of rhetoric, Limi won the trust of many small rebel gangs. Then Limi went to Wagang village with great fanfare and said to Jai Rang, the boss of Wagang village, "If I join your crew, I'll definitely give you a big surprise." "What surprise?" Jai Rang asked. Limi waved his hand, and the small rebel gangs he duped rushed up the mountain one after another and surrendered to Wagang village. Jai Rang was shocked and said, "You're a god. Sir, please stay in my Wagang and be my military advisor." And so, Limi became the commander of a village. But Limi was not satisfied. Remember, he had a vendetta against Emperor Yang of Sui. To exact his revenge, he had to persuade Jai Rang to raise an army and rebel against the Sui dynasty. Limi said to Jai Rang, "Boss, Liu Bang and Song Yu were also commoners by birth, yet they became emperors. Are you inferior to them? No, you're a man of great talent and strategy, with numerous soldiers and generals at your command. Are you content to be just a petty bandit? Don't you have any dreams? What's the difference between having no dreams and being a salted fish? Jai Rang replied, my dream is to be a bandit, and now it's come true. Limi said, then don't you want to change your dream? Jai Rang said, a man should have a steadfast dream. How can he change it at will? I'll definitely be a bandit. Limi was quite helpless. He looked at Jai Rang, who had no grand ambitions, and had a wicked thought. Since I can't persuade you, I'm sorry, I'll have to replace you. Most employees don't have the delusion of replacing their boss. As a newcomer in the workplace, Limi must have read too many novels about overbearing CEOs. Limi said, dear audience, you're overcomplicating things. It's not difficult to replace the boss. You just need to make him believe that the company will hand over to you, and he can earn more. How could he make Jai Rang believe in Limi? The same idea as selling goods via live streaming, 7 points depend on good products, and 93 points on flattery. Of course, it's not good to praise yourself, you need others to sing your praises. Limi then began to hire a navy, similar to the concept of YouTube comment bots. The #1 Navy general was Li Shenying. He arrived at Wagangzhai with great pomp and said, I'm here to join Limi, the son of heaven. So, what's your basis for saying that Limi is the son of heaven? Yuan Ying said, haven't you heard the rumor that the man with the surname Li will conquer the world? I've verified it from many sources, and the man destined to win the world must be Limi. Jai Rang wasn't quite convinced. Then the second Navy general, Huang Xuanzao, appeared. Huang Xuanzao brought hundreds of people to join Limi, claiming, if nothing unexpected happens, we're here to join Limi, who can win the world. Jai Rang began to doubt. The third Navy leader was Jiao Xiong, who was skilled in fortune telling and had been Jai Rang's former military advisor. Limi found Jiao Xiong, persuaded him with reason, and won him over with money, asking Jiao Xiong to set a trap for Jai Rang. Jiao Xiong approached Jai Rang and said, Boss, I've done a divination for you, and the result is very special. Jai Rang asked, how special could it be? Jiao Xiong said that the divination result indicated that Limi would become king in the future and make him rich. What does Limi's ascension to the throne have to do with me? Jai Rang asked. Besides, Limi's father was the Duke of Pushan, and he inherited his father's business, so Limi is the Duke of Pushan. Your surname is Zhai, which means Ze, or water. Pushan reads can't survive without water. Duke Pushan Limi can only achieve hegemony under your nourishment. Without you, he's nothing, Jiao Xiong replied. Jai Rang was delighted. So I'm that important. Then I must assist Limi in the future. After several rounds of deception, Jai Rang was almost convinced by Limi, but still couldn't make up his mind to relinquish his position as boss. Among bandits, everyone is a skilled talent, and the key is whether one can fight. If Limi wanted to be the leader, he had to win everyone's approval through his abilities. The person who helped Limi showcase his skills was Zhong Xutuo, the most famous general of the late Sui Dynasty. Seeing Wagangzhai's growing strength, Emperor Yang of Sui sent Zhong Xutuo to attack. When Jai Rang heard that Zhong Xutuo was approaching, he was terrified. It wasn't that Jai Rang was cowardly, it was simply a conditioned reflex. Since Wagangzhai's establishment, Zhong Xutuo had been a constant nuisance. Despite Jai Rang's relentless efforts, he had a record of 0 to 30 and was crushed by Zhong Xutuo. If it weren't for Jai Rang's talent for escaping, he would have become a corpse long ago. Jai Rang said, Limi, it's your turn. I'm numb from losing. Limi laughed and said, it's okay. Zhong Xutuo is also numb from winning. Have you heard that arrogant soldiers will be defeated? Jai Rang led his army into battle against Zhong Xutuo, trembling and looking back as he walked, fearing that Limi would betray him. The right mentality is key to success, and Jai Rang's mentality had long been shattered, so it would have been strange if he had won. The army was defeated at the onset of the battle and turned around and fled. Zhong Xutuo, unsuspecting of any trick, ordered his entire army to pursue. Little did Zhong Xutuo know that this defeated general, who had been routed 30 times, would finally employ tactics from Sun Tzu's Art of War this time. As Zhong Xutuo rushed into the ambush, Limi led the hidden troops to attack and besiege Zhong Xutuo. Zhong Xutuo was indeed the top general of the late Sui Dynasty. He led his personal troops to bravely break through the encirclement. Originally, he could have escaped and saved his life after fighting his way out of the encirclement, but Zhang Shutuo loved his soldiers like his own sons. When he found that some of his men had not successfully broken through the encirclement, he led his troops back into the fray time and again to rescue them, but eventually died of exhaustion. Zhang Shutuo had only lost one battle in his life, but this time he lost his life. After Zhang Shutuo's death, all his soldiers looked up to the sky and wept for days. In the county south of the Yellow River where Zhang Shutuo had stayed, the people mourned for him and shed tears. After Zhang Shutuo's death, his two fierce generals, Qin Qiong and Luo Shixin, later defected to Wagangzhai and became Limi's sworn brothers. Born in troubled times, sometimes it's truly hard to discern right from wrong. The fall of a general star inevitably paves the way for the rise of a new star. Limi became famous in one battle, and everyone in Wagangzhai was convinced of Limi's abilities. At this point, Limi had already become the de facto decision-maker of Wagangzhai. Limi was indeed a genius strategist. He accurately formulated the next battle plan for Wagangzhai. The most crucial strategy was to secure food. Why was the world in chaos? Because people couldn't afford to eat. If you could provide the disaster-stricken people with food, why worry that they wouldn't fight for you? Thus, Limi's next battle plan was to seize the Sui Dynasty's granaries. Limi conquered Xingluo Granary and Liang Granary, two of the 6 granaries of the Sui Dynasty, and then opened the granaries to distribute grain, inviting the disaster-stricken people to a buffet where they could take as much as they wanted. The people who came to collect grain lined up in a long queue, with an endless stream of people stretching for dozens of miles. The elderly, weak, women, and children were grateful to Limi, while the young and middle-aged expressed their support more directly by joining the Wagang army with their lives. In addition to the disaster-stricken people, anti-bandit forces from various places, including Hao Xiaoda, the bandit leader who had previously looked down on Limi, also joined the Wagang army. The size of the Wagang army reached an astonishing 300,000. At this time, the Wagang army was undoubtedly the most powerful force vying for supremacy in the world. After capturing the Xingluo Granary, Limi leveraged his victory to take on Lu, Runan, Guiyang, Jiang, and most of the counties in Henan. These regions were now under Limi's control. It seemed that he was just one step away from conquering the world and ascending to the pinnacle of power. Dear viewers, if you were a local hero in ancient times, there were only 2 ways to achieve lasting fame. The first was to conquer the Central Plains, ascend to the throne, and become an emperor worshipped by future generations. The second was to be defeated in disgrace, with your merits and demerits becoming a topic of discussion among the Chinese people for centuries to come. The question is, everyone knows that it was Li Yuan, the first emperor of the Tang dynasty, who ultimately won the world. So, how did Limi, who was the most powerful at that time, fall from grace? Let's revisit the last video. When Limi first started his rebellion, he offered his good brother Yang Xiangan a brilliant plan. Limi said, while Guangzhou is undefended, we should swiftly seize it. By occupying Guangzhou, which is easy to defend and hard to attack, we'll have a stable base. Then we can gradually plan to conquer the world. But don't fight to the death in Luoyang. Luoyang is the center of the world and the capital that Emperor Yang of Sui values the most. If we attack Luoyang, reinforcements will surely pour in from all directions, inevitably putting us in a predicament of being surrounded on all sides. If we don't attack Luoyang, the Sui army will come one after another, and our army will be encircled and annihilated. Yang Xiangan ignored Limi's brilliant plan and insisted on attacking Luoyang. In the end, he committed suicide after being defeated. Now that Limi could make his own decisions, did he follow his original idea and directly take Guangzhou? Unfortunately, he didn't. Limi also chose to fight for Luoyang and waited to be defeated by the Sui army. History is cyclical. Humanity learns from others' mistakes and repeats its own. Didn't Limi know that attacking Luoyang was dangerous? Why didn't he implement the good ideas he'd come up with? Limi had predicted the difficulty of capturing Luoyang. With a desperate mindset, he fought around the clock battle with the Sui army for over a year. During this period, he first defeated the Luoyang defenders and then the Guangzhou reinforcements, but then faced the support troops led by Sui General Wang Shichong from across the land. As an aside, the ongoing wars made the people of Luoyang miserable. Even the little monk couldn't bear it. The little monk said, "Fight, fight, fight. You people who fight are all fools." Then the little monk left Luoyang and went west to study. The little monk's name was Xuanzang, and he later became the most famous monk in the world. He later wrote a book, a record of the western regions of the Great Tang Dynasty, which profoundly influenced Central Asia and even the world. The monk could leave, but Limi couldn't. He could only continue fighting against Wang Shichong. Finally, Wang Shichong was defeated. Just as Limi thought Luoyang was within his grasp, a major accident occurred. Emperor Yang of Sui, who was traveling in Jiangju, was killed by his confidant Yu Wenhuaji. After Emperor Yang of Sui's death, Yu Wenji led the hundreds of thousands of Sui troops who had followed the emperor on their campaign all the way west to plunder Limi's Liang granary. Limi was right again. At this point, he was completely surrounded by two forces, Wang Shichong in front and Yu Wenji behind. Limi had no choice but to negotiate with one enemy and fight the other to relieve the pressure. He negotiated peace with Luoyang. After Emperor Yang of Sui was killed, the city of Luoyang proclaimed the new Emperor Yang Tong. The new emperor said, "We can live in peace, but on the condition that you go and help me eliminate Yu Wenji first." Limi had no choice but to agree. After untold hardships, Limi defeated Yu Wenji. However, the Wagang army was also severely weakened. At this time, Wang Shichong, the defender of Luoyang, regretted his decision and told the new emperor that Limi was a traitor. "We can't make peace with him. Let's fight," he said. Limi was so furious that he spat blood. When you're needed, people call you honey. When you're not, they call you names. In this angry mood, the severely weakened Wagang army was no match for Wang Shichong. Limi, at his wit's end, sighed to the heavens, "Is there really no one who can capture Luoyang city?" Of course, there is. Luoyang was left by God for a young hero to be deified. We will talk about it in the next two videos. Unfortunately, Limi couldn't see it. Do you find this strange? Limi knew that fighting in Luoyang was very dangerous, so why didn't he attack Guangzhou? Because he couldn't. Limi actually wanted to attack Guangzhou, but he said, "I can't do this. Most of the soldiers under my command are local disaster victims. They won't be willing to follow me to attack Guangzhou. But if I leave them in Luoyang and attack Guangzhou by myself, they will definitely rebel." Now we can see that the morale of Limi's army is not stable. Why? This is Limi's destined life and death dilemma. We know that Limi was born into an aristocratic family, and the soldiers under Limi were originally disaster victims and were born into peasant families. There is an insurmountable class gap between the two. Limi is not Shai Rang. He has no feelings for the old officials of Wagang. They follow you to have enough food. No one is willing to fight for a noble. In fact, no one is willing to go to the battlefield. Limi treated the generals under his command who were of peasant origin as tools and looked down on them. Limi once issued a forged imperial edict to win over the nobles and powerful people in the world, saying that if senior officials surrender, we will give you a high status and a lot of money. This caused great dissatisfaction among the poor brothers in Wagang. "We followed you through life and death, without much monetary reward, but those clan tyrants who surrendered were given high positions and generous salaries as soon as they joined. Why? Because you are of good origin. Alright, we know that Limi looked down on our poor brothers, so a split-like fault was created in Limi's army, dividing them into two camps, the nobles and the mud-legged brothers. The final contradiction was that the former leader of Wagangzhai Rang, who represented the poor brothers, became increasingly dissatisfied with the new leader Limi, who represented the nobles. Jai Rang wanted to regain the position of the leader. Limi tricked Jai Rang into coming under the pretext of inviting him to a banquet and then killed Jai Rang, who had been kind to him. A bloody drama of brothers killing each other was staged in Wagang village. Against such an unstable backdrop, Limi was unable to execute the strategy of directly taking Guangzhou and was ultimately trapped and killed in Luoyang, the epicenter of the world's warfare. Limi's defeat was a foregone conclusion. Meanwhile, another Li family, Li Yuan, seeing that most of the Sui dynasty's firepower was drawn by Limi, took the opportunity to rise against the Sui from Jinyang. The astute Li Yuan didn't even glance at Luoyang but led his troops straight to Guangzhou and occupied this precious land. After Limi's defeat, he led the remnants of his forces to surrender to Li Yuan. After all, they shared the same surname Li, so he still had some face left. After surrendering to Li Yuan's Tang army, Limi was extremely unwilling. "Since we shared the same surname Li, why should Li Yuan be the boss? It's not that I haven't had my moments of glory. After all, the world was almost mine, Limi's private property." The more Limi thought about it, the more aggrieved he felt. In the end, he finally raised an army to rebel against the Tang dynasty. Unfortunately, he was mercilessly killed by the Tang army. The hero of Limy's generation fell. Do you think it was a mistake or fate?